Blood darkened the sand like fallen petals scattered by a cruel wind. The desert sun burned overhead without mercy, and beneath it a powerful man lay broken against the rocks. His breath came shallow and uneven. The amber eyes that had once commanded armies now struggled to stay open. His strength was slipping away, grain by grain, like sand through an open hand. From cracked lips came a whisper, ragged, stripped of pride, stripped of command. "Don't let me die." 3 words, spoken by a man who had never begged, a ruler whose name bent nations and silenced enemies. And yet here he was, bleeding into the earth, clinging to life with nothing but a fading breath. Kneeling beside him was a girl no one knew. Her eyes were green like new leaves after rain. Her hands trembled as she pressed cloth against the wound in his side, trying desperately to stop the blood. The desert heat scorched her skin. Fear tightened her chest, but she did not move away. Her name was Isabela. She was an orphan, no lineage, no title, no one waiting for her return. She had grown up where hunger was familiar and hope learned to stay quiet. She belonged to no one and nowhere, except to the quiet calling in her heart that refused to let suffering go unanswered. She had been gathering herbs in the hills when she saw dust rise in the distance, heard echoes of violence carried by the wind. Every instinct told her to turn back. Instead, she ran toward it. When she found him, she thought he was already dead. His clothing was torn and soaked in blood, yet woven with threads finer than anything she had ever touched. A sword lay near his hand, heavy and ornate. But it wasn't wealth that pulled her to her knees. It was the sound, a low, broken groan, a man still fighting to live. Then his eyes opened. Amber, deep, endless, eyes filled with years of battle, loss, authority, and now fear. "Don't let me die," he whispered again. Something inside Isabela broke open. Without asking who he was, without calculating risk, she tore fabric from her own dress and bound his wound. She worked with the precision she had learned through years of necessity, cleaning, pressing, sealing, using knowledge passed down by village healers who had seen something in the quiet orphan girl who asked too many questions. The wound was deep but survivable. The bleeding was severe. He needed shelter, water, time. She dragged him inch by inch across burning sand until her arms shook and her lungs screamed. At last she reached a narrow cave hidden among the rocks, a place she had discovered months earlier while searching for medicinal plants. There, in the cool darkness, she laid him down. Only then did fear rush in. Who was he? What had she done? The man's clothing, his bearing, even unconscious, spoke of power, and she was no one. But the enemy now was infection, fever, death. For 3 days and 3 nights, Isabela did not leave his side. Fever took him the first night. His body shook violently, his breath ragged. She cooled his skin with damp cloths, whispered encouragement, prayed prayers she barely knew how to form. She told him stories, not knowing if he could hear, about her childhood, about growing up unseen, about learning to heal because no one else would. She spoke of pain, of hope, of choosing kindness even when the world had not chosen her. And somewhere between life and death, the man heard her. He clung to her voice like a lifeline. It pulled him back when darkness tried to claim him. On the 4th morning, he woke, truly woke, and the first thing he saw was Isabela asleep beside him, curled against the cave wall, exhaustion etched into her face. Dirt smudged her cheeks, her hair was tangled, her clothes were stained with his blood. She had never looked more beautiful. He tried to move and gasped in pain. She woke instantly. Relief flooded her face so fiercely it almost undid her. "Easy," she said, guiding water to his lips. "Drink slowly." He obeyed. Only then did he speak. "Who are you?" "My name is Isabela," she said. "That's all I have." He studied her carefully. "Why did you save me?" She didn't hesitate. "Because you were dying." Silence stretched between them. "My name," he said at last, "is Malik al-Rashid." The air changed. She staggered back as if struck. The Sheikh, the lion of the desert, the ruler whose word was law. Fear crossed her face, but only for a moment. "I didn't know," she said quickly. "If I had—" She stopped herself. Then firmly, "No, it wouldn't have mattered. A life is a life. God decides who lives, not me." Something shifted in Malik's gaze. Respect. "You saved me when my own blood betrayed me," he said quietly. "That debt is beyond gold." Days passed, then more. She cared for him, fed him, changed his bandages, and they talked. He told her of his mother, of loneliness behind power, of a throne that never let him rest. She told him of invisibility, of choosing compassion so others wouldn't feel alone. And somewhere in that cave, something unexpected took root. Love. Not born of politics, not of advantage, but of truth. One night, voices echoed outside the cave. Men, searching. Isabela hid Malik in a narrow crevice and stepped outside alone. She lied with steady calm, faced armed men with nothing but courage. They searched, found nothing. When they left, Malik pulled her into his arms, shaking with relief. "You saved me again," he whispered. They knew then they could not stay. Under the stars they traveled by night, slowly, carefully, toward the fortified city of Al-Sahra. Along the way, Malik promised her everything, not as a ruler, but as a man. When they reached the city, his guards fell to their knees in shock. He lived, and the first order he gave was this: "She is under my protection. She is my equal." At the council, before traitors and nobles alike, Malik stood healed but unbowed. "This woman saved my life," he declared. "She is the reason I stand before you, and she is the woman I have chosen to stand beside me." Silence fell. Then, one by one, loyalty followed. Because power had nearly killed him, but compassion had saved him. And the orphan girl who once believed she was nothing had changed the fate of a kingdom, not with strength, but with mercy. And so, from a whisper in the desert, a new story was born. One where love outranked blood, where humility reshaped power, and where a single act of kindness proved stronger than betrayal, stronger than fear, and stronger than death itself.